In this video, we'll be writing decimals as fractions and fractions as decimals. Decimals are just special cases of fractions. They are the fractions that have 10, 100, 1,000, and other powers of 10 in the denominator. It's fairly easy to go from decimal form to fraction form because we know to the right of the decimal is the fractional part of the number. We read this as 75 hundredths, so 75 becomes the numerator. It's the count of how many we have, and then here we have the tenths and the hundredths. So this becomes over 100, 75 hundredths, which we can of course simplify. Both the numerator and denominator are divisible by 25, so we can make this 3/4. For 1 and 8/10, if we wanted to have a mixed number, we have 1, and that's where we switch to the fractional part of our number. So we'll have 8 as the numerator, and these are the tenths, so we'll have 8/10. Now, if I wanted to write this as an improper fraction, I could just ignore the decimal, write 18, and then fill in the tenths right there. So I don't have to go through our algorithm of 10 times 1 plus 8 here. I can just write down all of the digits and put it over the last place to the right of the decimal, so 18/10. It's a little trickier to go from fractions to decimals. The easier case is the first one, like when I have a fraction like 7/200ths. My goal is to get the denominator to be 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, some power of 10 that corresponds to my place values. Here I can see that if I multiply the denominator by 5, I'll end up with 1,000. So this will be 35 thousandths. When I go to write this as a decimal, I find my thousandths place. Here I have tenths, hundredths, and thousandths. And my numerator, the last digit of my numerator, will correspond with the thousandths. I fill in a place value, placeholder 0. So I have 35 thousandths right there. This one's a little bit trickier, 2/3. You might know a decimal approximation for this one, but if we think about what we could multiply by 3, what whole number we could multiply by 3 to get 10, 100, 1,000, we're going to come up short. This is one where we're going to have to use long division to get there. So I'll take 2 divided by 3. I can add in a decimal point and then just start adding zeros in. 3 goes into 2 0 times, 3 goes into 26 times. And I end up in this pattern here where I am repeating. So as I keep adding on places, whenever I subtract, I get 2. And then I have 20, 3 goes into 26 times, and I end up seeing that I'll have a repeating decimal. So I can write this as 2/3 equals 0.66, and the bar will indicate that it's repeating. Note that 2/3 is not equal to 0.66, and 2/3 is not equal to 0.67. Those are decimal approximations, but 66 hundredths is not equivalent to 2/3. If I were to multiply the numerator times 33 to get the 66, when I multiply the denominator by 33, I'll end up with 66 over 99. So writing 2/3 equals 0.66 isn't correct because 2/3 is equivalent to 66 99ths, not 66 hundredths. So please remember your bar there to indicate that we have the repeating fraction. Otherwise, this is an approximation. It's not exact.